Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to review the movie Vikingulven, or Vikingulven, if you're gonna pronounce it correctly. So this is a Norwegian, Swedish horror movie, and that just passed me right by. It released several months ago. I was like, wait a minute, where has this been? Why have no one told me about this? I love werewolf movies. Because I'm one of those people, when it comes to horror movies, I am a leech. I'm a bloodsucker for especially werewolf movies. I love the werewolf myth and that sort of thing. It's my favorite folklore creature. And I pretty much seen almost every werewolf movie out there. I can almost say that I have pretty much seen almost every werewolf movie out there. Comics and that sort of thing, done it. But for some reason this movie just passed by me. I did not know about this, so I was like, okay, let's see it. And I'm gonna say it right now, it's actually a really good movie. However, it does suffer from several things. For example, the dialogue is a little bit how should we say it, not cringe worthy, but a little bit like yeah, no. The acting is really good. Some of these I do know because they are one is a Swedish actress, and some of them are Norwegian actors. The acting in this movie is actually really impressive, even for a Swedish person who looks at it. Because that's the thing. When you look at horror movies from your own native language and perspective and that sort of thing, it does suffer a bit because. When I look at Swedish horror movies, I was like, I'm not scared. I don't know. I don't get the same scare factors if they are not in English or some sort of other native language. But this movie, it works. I liked it. It works. I was like, wow, a Swedish Norwegian speaking movie that is actually scary. Or not scary. I wouldn't say this wasn't that scary. I would more say like, if I was younger, I would think this would be more scary. But right now, when I'm old, not really. That's the thing about horror movies nowadays. I don't get scared anymore. It's mostly maybe like a by-effect after all the horror and slash and thrillers movies that I've seen in my teenage years and that sort of thing. So I don't get easily scared nowadays. Would I say this is the best werewolf movie that I've seen? No, not really. Would I say that the werewolf looks scary? Yes, actually. I'm so sick and tired of people, especially on the internet. I'm gonna say it right now. I am in a very vast minority when it comes to werewolf lovers in sort of way. I like when they look skinny. I like when they look elongated hands and arms and that sort of thing, and more like human body kind of way with a wolf head. If I have to say it right now, the best perfect depiction of I ever seen of a werewolf is Professor Lupin from the Harry Potter and Prison of Azkaban, my favorite Harry Potter movie and book. I would say that the depiction of a werewolf in that is perfect when I think about that. Really scary werewolf. A lot of werewolf like horror fanatics, and if you want to call them that, fans, when it comes to werewolf fans in general, they always say like, oh, look at Van Helsing, that's a really scary wolf. Like, guys, I'm gonna tell you something. If you're out in the wild and you had two bears, one grizzly bear, a really big one that's massive muscles and that sort of thing, and the other is a polar bear, an ice snow bear, if you want to call it that. I can guarantee you would choose the grizzly bear to kill you. And let's say the grizzly bear is the Van Helsing werewolf and the polar is the Professor Lupin werewolf. I can guarantee you 100% you will beg the grizzly bear to kill you first. Why? Because it's going to kill you first. Like, it's going to go for your veins, it's your organs and your neck. It's going to kill you quickly, and that's something I can see when I see a big shad werewolf. It's not scary. It's going to kill you with one punch. Like, what is scary about that? you're going to die like that. Like, why is that scary? It's kind of like a mercy kill, to be honest. Then you have the polar bear, or the looping werewolf in this case. It's not going to kill you like on the spot. No. If you ever seen a polar bear hunting and eating, even humans, there are reports you can read about it, they don't kill their victims. Why? Because they want their victims to be alive when they eat them, because it keeps the meat warm. It keeps you more like I don't know what it's called, but it keeps the meat some sort of way more tasteful. I don't know how to say it or explain it, because it's a very real thing. Like, they want to keep their victim alive when they eat them, so the meat kind of like tastes more. What do you call it? I don't remember what it's called, but that's kind of like a thing that polar bears do. And why? Because they know they need to have more nutrients and that sort of thing. I don't know what I'm sorry, I can't really say exactly what it is. But I do know they keep most of their victims alive when they eat them. Not like a polar bear who's a grizzly bear who will go for the organs and kill its victim quick, because it needs to. It doesn't want to be disturbed. It doesn't want its victim to scream and to make noises, because it might attract other bears and that sort of thing to the spot. Polar bears, they live in the middle of nowhere, so it doesn't bother them. So that's what I would be more scared of when I see a werewolf. When I see a skinny werewolf with elongated hands and that sort of thing, I know that this werewolf is not out to kill me on the spot. It's out for freaking hunger. It looks like it's hungry. That is something I think werewolves' curse are kind of like based on, because they feel like hunger all the time. That's why they kind of look like they're starving, that sort of thing. It's so much more scarier to think that I might be killed slowly rather than quickly. So I don't know why people think that, oh, a shad werewolf is scary. No, not really. And then of course we have depiction of werewolf in the Vikingulven. I gotta say, I liked it. It's kind of like a mixture between a real wolves. That is why I like the werewolf in this movie, because it does look like a regular wolf almost. A little bit more like kind of like a big chihuahua in sort of way, but a mixture between if you think of like an oversized chihuahua but with a wolf, it's kind of like that. I like that. I really like it. It looks like it's hungry. It's out for flesh. It's out for food. It doesn't want to just kill someone for sport. But the story in this movie is very, how should I say, cliche in sort of way. So they kind of like suffer a bit from that, and then also the dialogues here and there. So yeah, it's kind of like you can pretty much see what's going to happen halfway through the movie. But otherwise, the story was okay. It wasn't really the most flashed out one, but and the acting was really good in my opinion. There were some that I felt like, especially some of the bullies was in the movie. I was like, that's not really how typical Scandinavian bullies are. But hey, I mean, bullies are always going to be anywhere. But I don't know how it works in Norway. I do know in Sweden, for example, if your kid is bullying another kid, the parents are gonna go. How should I say it? They won't go to jail, but they will be fined, like bills and that sort of thing. The police actually can actually arrest someone for bullying. I actually remember when they implemented that law in Sweden many years ago. Before the law was implemented, there was a lot of bullying in schools and that sort of thing. I was fortunately not one of them, but I did see a lot of bullying. And when that law was implemented, that forbidding bullying and that sort of thing in schools, yeah, it's rapidly disappearing. I don't know how it is in school right now. With the cyberbullying, that sort of thing. Which also some sort of law should be implemented for that. Anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of things that in this movie that seems a little bit, yeah, I can't really believe that or that, but otherwise it's a great movie. The special effects on it's good. I liked it. I think that the mixture, both the CGI and the practical, really good with the wolf especially, and the curse is pretty basic, like scratched by, bitten by a werewolf, you become one. That's it. However, how the curse had its origin, like most of the werewolf curses, that sort of thing, where they were first like implemented or its place of birth, it's mostly always kind of like India for some reason. Possibly, I don't remember that. I do remember that a lot of movies have this some sort of origin for the werewolf curse to be in India for some reason. I mean, okay, but in this movie, it's more like we don't really know exactly where the werewolf curse came from. I will mostly pick the route where the werewolf curse came from Greece and that sort of thing. Is in mythology and folklore. It's pretty much the place of birth of the Western depiction of werewolf. But in this movie, the werewolf curse is found in Normandy during the 900 AD, I think it was, when the Vikings were coming from Scandinavia, started raiding everywhere, and a Viking party started to raid a monastery, I think it was, in Normandy, and then they found the werewolf, kind of like a cup, and they took it with them to Norway, and therefore the curse spread like over there. So that's kind of like the origin of the werewolf, where it came from, but not really its place of birth and that sort of thing. I like that. I like when they keep that sort of thing, kind of like to more speculation. The ending of the movie was okay. It does leave you with a cliffhanger. I get it. Might it be another one? Maybe. I mean, I'm curious if it will be. But anyway, so if I would rate this movie from 1 to 10, I would give it a solid 7. It's a good movie. It's nowhere like a scary movie, because I don't know, that's the thing. I'm old, I'm seen these sort of things before, I know where it's going to head, and I pretty much can predict every jump scare ever in a horror movies nowadays. As a teenager, I might be more scared if I watch it alone and that sort of thing. As an older person, I just don't get more scared about this sort of thing. As I said, when you were younger, werewolf, when you depicted werewolf, you thought about this shad, big, muscular werewolf from Van Helsing, or what do you call the underworld or something, and you thought that was scary. Nowadays, when I see a werewolf, what I think the depiction of a werewolf is, as I said, skinny, hungry, and just it's out for food. It doesn't want to kill you, just like a murder machine. What about the transformation? There's always a big talk about transformation from human to werewolf. I would say it was okay. I liked it when it's just quick and done with it. So it doesn't drag out for a mass amount of time. You see the bones and that sort of thing crackling. Sort of becomes like spaghetti fire, that sort of thing. Like, no, it's quick. Thankfully, I'm so sick and tired of seeing movies doing that. Oh, they are in pain, and then it's just a slow transformation. No, just be done with it, like they do with Professor Lupin or the Dog Soldiers or Van Helsing even. So I also really like the cinematography in this movie. It was really well done. I have to say, they picked a really good spots, and they if they have sets, they look really, really good. So I have to praise the environment they were in, the cinematography, the camera works. I have to say, they were really great. Would I place this as one of my favorite werewolf movies ever? Kinda. It's on the edge, to be honest. I liked it when it's more like what do you call it? You can definitely see that the American Werewolf in London was a big inspiration for this movie, because I mean, even the transformation here and there kind of resemble it, but in very, very short term. And the typical law of being bit by werewolf and that sort of thing, you can definitely see the American Werewolf in London was an inspiration. Even the design of the werewolf was you can clearly see there was a big inspiration from the American Werewolf in London. I did also see another werewolf movie, The Cursed, which also kind of like came out in 2022, which also passed me by the head. I just why is every horror movie about werewolf just passing me by? Like, goddamn it, should I slow down? So that movie, I have seen it, and I maybe will do a short review on that as well, because it was actually a really good movie as well. The only thing I have with that movie is that the werewolf looks like shit. So anyway, that's my short review on Vikingulven. It's a good pastime movie. I think it was a good movie, 7 out of 10. Absolutely an average, above average movie. The acting was great. The story was very basic, and the cinematography was really good. The music was also really good, and the sound effects are really good. Anyway, see you all later for another review or whatever is going to come after, and have a great upcoming spring.